The day I checked into his lies, a hotel lobby showdown, a viral scandal, and the diary of a woman who turned heartbreak into the ultimate revenge. It's strange how, looking back, you can always see the signs. At the time, you tell yourself you're imagining things, that you're just overthinking because life's been stressful or work's been draining you. But deep down, you know. You always know. Peter and I had been together for a little over 3 years. 3 years of birthdays, lazy Sundays, and what should we have for dinner? Arguments that somehow turned into laughing on the couch. We talked about the future. Marriage, a house someday, maybe kids if we both felt ready. We were comfortable in that quiet, easy way couples get when they know each other inside and out. Or, at least, I thought we were. It started small. He began coming home later than usual, saying work was a nightmare lately. He'd drop his bag by the door, give me a distracted kiss, and go straight to his phone. Before, he used to tell me about his day, even if it was boring office drama. Now, it felt like there was a wall between us, something I couldn't quite put my finger on. At first, I brushed it off. We all have phases, right? Maybe he was just tired or needed space. But then there were the mood swings. One day overly sweet, the next cold and irritable. I remember one night, I made his favorite pasta, and instead of thanking me, he said, "You didn't have to go through the trouble. I'm not even that hungry." It was so unlike him. He wasn't cruel, but there was a distance in his tone that made my stomach drop. And then came the phone thing. Peter had never been secretive about his phone before. It would be lying face up on the coffee table, and he wouldn't care if I picked it up to Google something. But suddenly, it was always in his pocket, screen facing down. Sometimes I'd walk into the room, and he'd quickly lock it, pretending to scroll through something else. One night, while he was in the shower, I noticed his phone buzzing on the counter. I didn't check it. I still wanted to trust him, but I saw the name, Gianna, flash across the screen. The name meant nothing to me. I told myself it was probably a coworker, maybe someone from his friend group I'd forgotten about. But still it stayed in the back of my mind. It was a Thursday night, one of those evenings where you expect nothing dramatic to happen. I was in my pajamas, halfway through folding laundry, when Peter walked in. No hey kiss. No smile. He just stood there in the doorway for a moment, staring at me like I was someone he barely recognized. "Can we talk?" he asked. Something in his tone made me set the laundry basket down. It wasn't angry exactly, it was final. "Sure," I said, trying to sound casual. But my heart had already started that uncomfortable, fluttering beat you get before bad news. He didn't sit down. Instead, he leaned against the wall, arms crossed. "I've been thinking a lot lately," he started, eyes flicking toward the floor like he didn't want to meet mine. I think I need some space. From us. From all of this." I blinked at him. "Space? What do you mean space?" "You know," he said, shrugging a little too casually. "Just freedom. Time to figure myself out. We've been together for years, and I don't even know what it's like to be on my own anymore." The words hit like cold water. I wanted to ask where is this coming from, but I already knew. The late nights, the mood swings, the sudden phone privacy, the puzzle pieces were falling into place whether I wanted them to or not. "You're breaking up with me?" I said flatly. He hesitated. "I guess, yeah. For now." For now. Like he was putting me on a shelf to come back to when he got bored. I forced myself to keep my voice steady. "If you want to end it, just say it's over. Don't call it a break. Don't pretend this is about finding yourself." That's when I noticed the duffel bag near the door. It wasn't his work bag. It was packed, clothes, toiletries, the whole deal. "How long have you been planning this?" I asked. He avoided my eyes again. "A couple of days." A couple of days. Meanwhile, I had spent those same days making his lunches, picking up his favorite coffee, texting him sweet little check-ins. It's amazing how much you can miss what's right in front of you when you trust someone. I didn't cry, not yet. Instead, I walked past him, opened the front door, and stepped aside. "Then go," I said. "Go have your freedom." He looked like he wanted to say something, maybe an apology, maybe an excuse, but he didn't. He just picked up the bag, muttered, "I'll be in touch," and left. The sound of the door clicking shut was louder than it should have been. For a while, I just stood there, staring at the empty space where his bag had been. Then I went to the bedroom, sat on the bed, and finally let the tears come. I kept thinking if he wanted space, why pack enough clothes for a week? And then, like a cold realization crawling up my spine, I remembered the name, Gianna, from his phone. I told myself I wouldn't jump to conclusions. But some part of me already knew, the kind of knowing that settles in your chest before your brain catches up. The laundry stayed unfolded that night. I lay awake until dawn, wondering if he was sleeping in some cheap motel or in someone else's bed. The morning after Peter left, I woke up feeling like my whole body had been filled with wet sand. Heavy, slow, tired in a way sleep couldn't fix. I didn't even check my phone right away. I just stared at the ceiling, replaying our conversation over and over. Every time I thought about the way he said freedom, my stomach turned. Freedom from what? From me? From us? Or was it freedom to be with someone else? Eventually, I dragged myself out of bed and made coffee, the kind of bitter, overbrewed mess you drink just to feel like you're doing something normal. It wasn't until I sat on the couch that I reached for my phone. The first thing I saw was a notification from Instagram. Gianna posted for the first time in a while. I don't follow Gianna. I'd only seen her profile once, months ago, when she'd liked a few of Peter's posts. Back then, I didn't think much of it. Peter knew a lot of people through work and mutual friends. But now, my hands moved almost on their own, tapping the notification. Her new post was a photo of a hotel balcony. A pretty one, glass railing, warm city lights in the background, a table set for two with half-finished glasses of wine. The caption was a single heart emoji. I stared at it for a moment, my pulse picking up speed. It could have been any hotel, anywhere. But then I saw it, reflected in the glass door behind her. Peter's silhouette. He wasn't looking at the camera. He was leaning back in a chair, head tilted like he was laughing at something she'd said. Even in a blurry reflection, I'd know that profile anywhere. My mouth went dry. I scrolled to the next photo in her carousel. This one was inside the hotel room, a selfie of Gianna in the mirror, wearing one of those white bathrobes hotels give you. And there, just out of focus on the bed behind her, was Peter's duffel bag. The same one he'd carried out of our apartment less than 12 hours ago. For a second, I couldn't even feel angry. It was like my brain was buffering, trying to download the reality of it. My boyfriend, well, ex now, hadn't needed space. He hadn't needed to find himself. He'd needed a long weekend getaway with Gianna. My hands shook as I set the phone down. I stared at the coffee table, focusing on the wood grain just to stop myself from throwing my phone across the room. The betrayal hit in waves. First the disbelief, the this can't be real. Then the humiliation, the how could I not have seen it? And finally, the rage, the how dare he. I picked the phone back up and opened our old message thread. No new texts from him. Just his last one from the night before. I'll be in touch. Yeah. In touch with Gianna, maybe. I thought about messaging him right then, but something stopped me. If I confronted him now, he'd deny it. He'd call me paranoid, tell me I was reading into things. I wanted proof, undeniable, in-your-face proof, so I could shove it in his smug face when the time came. So I screenshotted everything. The balcony photo, the bathrobe selfie, the reflection, the duffel bag. I even zoomed in to make sure his profile was clear enough to recognize. Then I did something I never thought I'd do. I messaged Veronica. Veronica is my friend from work, and she's got a knack for online sleuthing. If someone you met at a bar in 2015 has a public profile buried under 3 name changes, Veronica will find it. I sent her the screenshots with a single line. I think Peter left me for this girl. Can you find out where they are? She replied within 5 minutes. Already on it. Also, holy sh*t, I cannot believe he did this. While she dug for info, I sat there, scrolling through Gianna's older posts. There she was in front of the same coffee shop Peter and I had been to just last month. There she was at a concert I remembered Peter mentioning, the one he said he went to with a buddy from work. Piece by piece, the timeline shifted in my head. I'd thought we were solid until a few weeks ago. Now I realized he'd been chipping away at us for months. By lunchtime, Veronica texted back. They're at the Grandview Hotel downtown. The balcony is distinctive. Only the top floors have that glass style. Room service menu in her story matches theirs too. Also, I found out Gianna has a boyfriend. Or had one. Name's Curtis. That stopped me cold. He wasn't just cheating on me, she was cheating on someone else, too. Somehow, that made it worse. Like they weren't just breaking hearts, they were tag-teaming it. And just like that, I knew. If Peter and Gianna thought they could humiliate me, they had no idea who they were dealing with. If Peter had just left me because he fell out of love, I think I would have cried for a week, eaten my weight in ice cream, and moved on. But this wasn't that. This was calculated. This was sneaky. This was him warming my side of the bed one night and hers the next, and then having the nerve to act like I was the problem. And that meant one thing. I wasn't going to just get over it. I was going to make sure he regretted every smug, lying word he'd ever said to me. The first ally in my corner was obvious, Veronica. If there's one thing you should know about her, it's that she loves drama. Not cheap drama, like people screaming in parking lots. No, she likes the slow burn, plot twist kind. The kind you watch unfold like a good TV show. When I told her I wanted to do more than just confront him, her eyes lit up like she'd been waiting her whole life for me to say that. Okay, she said over the phone, already tapping away at her laptop. Step 1 is intel. We need to know their schedule. If they're at the Grandview, they'll check out at noon. That gives us, she glanced at the clock, less than 24 hours to pull something together. The second ally came from an unexpected place, Curtis. Remember Curtis? Gianna's boyfriend. Well, technically ex-boyfriend now, thanks to this little romantic weekend. Finding him was easy. Veronica had already tracked him down. He was exactly what I expected from someone dating Gianna. Tall, well-dressed, and judging by his profile picture, allergic to smiling. Still, I figured he deserved to know the truth. I messaged him. Hi, you don't know me, but I think my boyfriend is with your girlfriend right now. At the Grandview. I have proof. He read it instantly. 2 minutes later, my phone rang. Claire? His voice was clipped, like he'd been pacing. Send me everything you've got. I did. All the screenshots, the zoomed-in balcony reflection, the bathrobe selfie. He was silent for a long time after that. Finally, he said, she told me she was at a spa weekend with her cousin. God, I'm an idiot. No, I said, surprising myself with how calm I sounded. They're just good liars. There was a pause. Then, with a shift in his tone, he asked, what do you want to do about it? And just like that, Curtis became my second accomplice. The third ally was less of a person and more of a wild card. Her name was Janine, and she worked at the Grandview's front desk. I didn't know her well. We'd met once at a friend's birthday, but I remembered one very important detail. She hated cheaters. I also remembered she once bragged about being able to accidentally put people in awkward situations with hotel room assignments. When I called her and explained the situation, she didn't even hesitate. Oh my God, she said, her voice low but gleeful. Tell me their room number. Veronica had already figured that out from Gianna's stories. I passed it to Janine, who whistled. Top floor, huh? Must have splurged. All right, I can't kick them out, but I can make their stay interesting. I asked her to hold off. I wanted our moves to be coordinated. By the time the sun went down, I had a team, a location, and more motivation than I'd ever felt in my life. Step 1 would be making sure they knew exactly who had blown up their little getaway. Step 2 would be making that embarrassment stick. That night, lying in bed, I thought about all the ways I could just let it go. I could delete Peter from my life, block Gianna, and focus on healing. But then I remembered the look on his face when he told me he needed space. Like I was a burden. Like I was something to get rid of before his fun could begin. No. They were going to feel this. The morning of the strike, I woke up before my alarm. Not because I was excited, well, maybe a little, but because my mind was already buzzing with every possible thing that could go wrong. What if they checked out early? What if Curtis got cold feet? What if Janine decided she liked her job more than she hated cheaters? I made coffee, sat at the kitchen counter, and scrolled through Gianna's Instagram one last time. She'd posted a story just 6 hours ago, a glass of champagne on a marble table, captioned, "Living my best life." Her nail polish was chipped. Good. Veronica picked me up at 10:30 sharp, wearing oversized sunglasses and a black hoodie like we were about to rob a bank. "You ready?" she asked, sliding me a paper bag. Inside was a ball cap and a plain gray hoodie. "Camouflage," she said. "We're not here to look cute. We're here to get results." We parked a block from the Grandview and walked in through the back entrance. Curtis was already there, leaning against a wall in the lobby like he'd been born in expensive shoes. He didn't waste time on greetings. "They're still in their room," he said, checking his watch. "Janine's keeping an eye on the elevators. She says they've ordered room service, so they're not going anywhere for at least 30 minutes. "Perfect." Janine spotted us the moment we stepped into the main lobby. She didn't smile, but she gave the tiniest nod before sliding an envelope across the counter. Inside was a plastic key card. "Room 1509, she murmured. "But you didn't get it from me." We took the service elevator up, no cameras, according to Janine. When the doors opened, the hallway was silent, carpet swallowing our footsteps. Curtis had the card in his hand, but he paused just before the door. "You sure about this?" he asked. I didn't hesitate. More than I've been sure about anything in my life. He slid the card. The green light blinked. The room smelled like perfume and champagne. On the bed were 2 half-empty glasses and a tray of strawberries. Gianna's purse was open on the armchair, her phone sticking out. I could hear the shower running. We didn't have much time. Veronica moved first, pulling a small Bluetooth speaker from her bag and placing it on the nightstand. Curtis walked over to the closet and pulled open the door. Peter's duffel bag sat there, half unzipped. I reached in and pulled out one of his shirts. For a moment, my chest tightened. Then I remembered his smug face on breakup night and tossed it onto the floor. The plan was simple. Veronica would cue up a playlist of breakup anthems on the speaker. Curtis would take Gianna's phone and airdrop our evidence, all the balcony photos, all the screenshots, to every device on the hotel's guest Wi-Fi. And I was going to leave a little handwritten note on the bed. I took out the card I'd brought and wrote in my neatest handwriting. "Hope the champagne was worth it. Claire." We were just about to leave when the shower stopped. For a second, none of us moved. Then Veronica whispered, "Go, go, go," and we bolted for the door, slipping out just as the bathroom door creaked open behind us. We didn't take the service elevator down. We took the guest one. Because by the time they realized what had happened, the whole hotel would know. And that was exactly the point. If Part 5 was a spy movie, Part 6 was a reality show finale. And I had front row seats. We positioned ourselves in the cafe just off the Grandview's lobby. From there, we had the perfect view of the front desk, the elevators, and, thanks to Veronica's discreet little camera, the unfolding disaster on the 15th floor. The first sign that the plan had worked came 15 minutes later. Curtis's airdrop bomb had gone off like clockwork. I watched as guests in the cafe pulled out their phones, frowned, then snickered. One guy even whispered to his girlfriend, who looked over at us and mouthed, "That's them, right?" Oh yes. It was starting. The elevator dinged. And there they were. Peter, in jeans and a wrinkled button-down, looking like someone had drained the color out of him. Gianna, in a white robe with wet hair, clutching her phone and scanning the lobby like she could physically block people from looking at her. Problem was everyone was looking at her. The playlist Veronica had queued in their room was still faintly playing from the open elevator. Before he cheats. I swear, people started filming before they'd even stepped out. Peter spotted me first. His jaw tightened, but he didn't walk over. Instead, he grabbed Gianna's arm and muttered something I couldn't hear. She jerked away from him, holding up her phone like it was evidence. That's when Curtis made his move. He stood up from the cafe table, walked right past me, and positioned himself dead center in the lobby. "Hope you two enjoyed your weekend," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Whole hotel seems to have." Gasps. Laughter. Someone clapped. Peter's eyes went wide, and for a split second, he looked like he was going to come at Curtis. But Curtis didn't flinch. He just folded his arms and smiled like a man who'd already won. Gianna hissed something at Peter and stormed toward the exit, but the robe didn't do her any favors. She tripped on the hem, nearly falling. A group of teenage girls by the fountain absolutely lost it. Peter tried to follow her out, but before he could, Janine leaned over the front desk and called, "Sir, you left this in your room." She held up my note. Loudly. The lobby erupted. Peter didn't take it. He just kept walking, head down, hand over his face. Gianna was already outside, shoving past a valet who was trying not to laugh. When the glass doors shut behind them, the crowd slowly started to disperse, but the whispers didn't stop. Not for a long time. I sat there, sipping my coffee, feeling lighter than I had in months. Not because I'd won, but because for once, they didn't get to control the story. I did. The next morning felt strange. Not bad strange, more like the air after a thunderstorm, where everything smells clean but the sky is still dark at the edges. I woke up late. No alarm, no rushing to get ready for anyone but me. I padded into the kitchen barefoot, poured myself coffee, and scrolled through my phone without guilt for the first time in, God, months. The video. Of course it was there. I didn't post it, I didn't need to. The guests who'd been in the lobby yesterday had done all the work for me. Clips from different angles were stitched together on TikTok with captions like, "When the side chick gets caught at the Grandview," and POV, "Your ex finds out you booked the room under your real name." The comments were intense. Half the internet seemed to be laughing at them, and the other half was debating whether I was a hero or a villain. I didn't care. This wasn't for them. This was for me. Veronica came over around noon, carrying a bag of pastries and a smug smile. "You've gone viral," she said, dropping her phone on the counter, so I could see. A hotel review account had reposted the clips and tagged it #GrandviewGate. Curtis called about an hour later. "You're officially a legend," he said. Even Janine says she's never seen anything that satisfying happen on her shift. I could hear the grin in his voice. But there was one thing that wasn't sitting right with me. Peter hadn't called. He hadn't texted. No half-hearted apology. No furious "how could you?" Nothing. At first, it felt like a win, like I'd finally taken up so much space in his head that he couldn't even form words. But by the second day, it started to feel wrong. Gianna, on the other hand, wasn't quiet. She posted a long, messy Instagram story about toxic exes and privacy violations that was so obviously about me, it might as well have been tagged at "Claire was here." She'd also turned off comments, which told me exactly how the internet was treating her. Still silence from Peter. By day 3, the buzz online was starting to die down, but my phone lit up with a message I didn't expect. It was from an unknown number. Unknown. "Meet me at Nolan's Cafe at 6. I think you'll want to hear this." No name. No explanation. I stared at it for a full minute. I almost deleted it. But there was something about the way it was written, not dramatic, not threatening, just certain. When I got there, Veronica was already sitting at our usual corner table, sipping tea. "I didn't text you," she said when I showed her the message. Her brows knit. "Do you think it's him?" I didn't know. At exactly 6:05, Curtis walked in. He didn't smile, didn't sit down. Instead, he slid a small manila envelope across the table. "I thought you should see this before it's too late," he said. And then he left. Inside the envelope were 3 photographs. Peter looking furious, standing in a parking lot I didn't recognize. Gianna, standing a few feet away, crying. And a third photo, a man I'd never seen before, handing Peter what looked like an envelope. It wasn't the revenge high anymore. It was something else. Something colder. Whatever this was, it wasn't over. I didn't sleep that night. The photos from Curtis sat on my kitchen counter like they were breathing. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Peter in that parking lot, his jaw tight, his hand clenched around an envelope that didn't belong to him. By morning, I'd made my decision. I needed answers. Curtis didn't make me beg. Over coffee, he told me exactly what he'd seen. The parking lot was behind a strip of offices just outside town, one of them a divorce attorney's office, the other a cash for gold shop. Peter had met the strange man there twice in the past week. And the envelope?
Cash.
A lot of it. Looks shady, Curtis said, sipping his latte. And my guess? It's about you. It didn't take much digging to confirm it. A quick search of the attorney's business site gave me exactly what I needed, their specialty: discreet asset protection and pre-divorce planning. Translation: Peter was trying to hide money before I could get my hands on it. Here's the thing about Peter: he always underestimated me. He thought I was too emotional to play the long game, too distracted by my feelings to be strategic. And okay, maybe that used to be true, but not anymore. By noon, I was sitting in my bank's office, transferring the last of our joint savings into an account in my name. Legally.
Cleanly.
Every penny accounted for. Then I called my lawyer. Yes, I had one now. Yes, she was worth every cent. I handed her the photos, the timeline, and every piece of evidence I'd gathered over the past month. She smiled like a cat watching a mouse walk into a trap. By the time I'm done, she said, he won't be able to open a checking account without your name attached to it. That night, I drafted one final message to Peter. No anger. No insults. Just the truth. Me, you should probably check your accounts before you make any big purchases. Also, you might want to get a better lawyer. Yours won't survive discovery. I hit send and blocked him immediately. The fallout was instant. The next morning, my lawyer called to tell me Peter's attorney had already reached out. Apparently, Peter had tried to withdraw a large sum from one of our accounts and discovered it was empty. He'd also received notice that his asset protection plan was being challenged in court. But the real moment, the one that sealed it for me, came later that week. I was at Nolan's again, this time actually enjoying my tea, when Peter walked in. He didn't see me at first. He just ordered a coffee, his shoulders slumped in a way I'd never seen before. No swagger. No arrogance. Just a man who'd finally realized the game was over. When he did spot me, his expression twisted, half anger, half something like regret. I didn't give him the satisfaction of reacting. I just picked up my cup, smiled politely, and walked past him like he was a stranger. Because that's all he was now. A stranger with no power over me. And that was the real revenge. Not the videos. Not the lobby scene. Not even the money. It was the fact that for the first time in years, I was free.